What should you do when a manuscript gets rejected? You're going to find out right now. Hey everybody, it's Leigh Hall from teachingacademia.com, and I'm all about giving you the tools you need to navigate academia and make your best impact. So today we're talking about what happens when you get the dreaded rejection for a manuscript. And before I get into how to handle it, I want to give you 3 things that you should know right off the bat. First, it happens to everyone. I am a full professor. It still happens to me, okay? It happens. It's going to happen off and on throughout your entire career, all right? Number 2, it does not necessarily mean your manuscript is bad. I have had manuscripts, I've had this happen a few times over the course of my career. I've had manuscripts get rejected from top tier journals, and I really believed in the manuscript. I really thought it was good. I turned right around. I sent it to another top tier journal, just making a lateral move. And it got accepted, right? It went through a whole revise and resubmit, but it got accepted, it got published, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean that your manuscript is bad. And it also does not mean that your manuscript won't get published in a well-regarded journal, okay? So keep those things in mind when rejection happens. So how do you handle rejection? Go on down to the comments and tell me some of your tricks, tips, techniques, strategies, things you do when people say no thank you, all right? So let's get into what do you do when you get it? How do you handle it? Because it can be incredibly and stressful and annoying, right? So first of all, give yourself some space, right? It might make sense to just step back, get away from it all, don't worry about it. But be mindful about how much space you give yourself. So don't do an indefinite amount. Don't just think, well, when I feel better, I'll pick up that manuscript again. I give myself 48 hours. That works for me. I've had people tell me that that's not enough time, right? That's really a quick turnaround to get back into the game. I would not give myself more than a week, and I would put a deadline on it. I would say, okay, I got rejected on a Wednesday. Maybe I'll take that week off. Maybe I'll take the next week off, and then that following Monday, I'm going to get back to it, okay? So have a plan, right? Know what's going to work for you, and make sure you've got a deadline for when you're going to get back in the saddle and get that manuscript back up and out the door. So you've given yourself some space, you're back at it, you're ready to, get it to another journal. Read the feedback, okay? I do always read the feedback that the reviewers provide and assess to what extent it is valid. Because here's the thing, when you read this feedback, you're not doing a revise and resubmit. When you send it to another journal, in my experience, you're going to get completely different feedback, all right? So I would not spend too much time overhauling my manuscript based on feedback from reviewers when it got rejected. What I do is I read it through the feedback and I look for things where I go, oh yeah, I completely agree with this reviewer. I totally should have included this information, right? So if a reviewer gives me an idea that I love and I think it's spot on and I wish I had put it in there in the first place, then yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I agree with them. I think it's a great idea, all right? The other thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for if at least 2 reviewers say the same thing. So if 2 reviewers say something that's basically the same kind of thing, I'm going to assume it's going to pop up in another review at a different journal with different reviewers. So I go ahead and address that. Otherwise, I just let it go. Okay. I just let it go. I don't worry about it because a new set of reviewers is going to have something completely different to say. I promise you. So figure that out, right? Make any edits that you want to make. Sometimes I don't make any edits. I just send it back out, okay? And then back out the door it goes, right? You want to keep it in the game. You want to keep it, under review moving forward so that eventually it's going to get published.